Am I going to heal from Bell's palsy? Am I going to heal from Ramsey Hunt syndrome? So many other people are experiencing what I've experienced. Am I going to feel better? And I've had significant improvement, but I'm still not completely healed. Hey, it's Cher, and you are watching or listening to the Style and Stewardship podcast. Today, I wanted to get into an update on Bell's palsy, Ramsey Hunt. I'm not going to go through all of the details as far as when I found out, all of the experience that I had when this first started. This did start late last year, 2024. If you're watching this now, we are now in the month of August of 2025, and I've had significant improvement, but I'm still not completely healed. And it began with having a diagnosis of Bell's palsy, but it was actually a misdiagnosis because I was impacted by Ramsey Hunt syndrome, which is actually considered a rare condition. But the more and more I am online and I'm seeing people leave comments on my videos, I realize that so many other people are experiencing what I've experienced, wanting to know, is this going to get better? Am I going to feel better? Am I going to heal from Bell's palsy? Am I going to heal from Ramsey Hunt syndrome? What is the time frame? What can I expect? And I wanted to dig into my experience because I know that it's really helpful to just be able to see someone else that's experiencing what you've gone through or what you're currently going through, and knowing, one, that there's hope, there's always hope, but two, just kind of trying to piece together what it may look like, because if you're anything like me, you don't know anyone that's ever experienced this, and you want some sort of, maybe, I don't know if direction is the right term, but you want some sort of answers as far as what did you feel, what am I feeling like, and just kind of making those, just those similarities. However, I always say this, you can't necessarily compare your experience to someone else's as far as your time frame of healing and what you may experience and what the other person may experience. So I wanted to share some of the things that I experienced as far as when I began to heal, when things started moving a bit more, what that felt like, because it was pretty surprising. And also a lot of the things that I use and I am still using currently, 8, almost 9 months later after having the diagnosis. And it's gonna be different from person to person. Everyone experiences this condition very differently, which is interesting, but it's gonna be unique to you. But hopefully some of the things that I'm sharing can, just encourage you that you are certainly not alone. 2, you may see other videos of me that I recorded before this condition happened and think, oh, she's completely healed. That's actually not the case. And some of the other things are, there are days where my face is actually working better than other days. So I wanted to get into my experience, hopefully that I can help you. I'm not an expert in this. I'm a certified holistic nutritionist, and my area is certainly more so, gut health and food sensitivities and histamine intolerance and eating real healthy food and things like that. But I also used some of that and what I've learned in my training to better understand how to support my body to do what I believe God created it to do, which is with the capacity and the ability to heal when given the right things. So first off, I'm going to jump right into what my face is and is not doing currently. If you're listening to the audio, hop over to YouTube or to Spotify video and you can check out what I'm actually doing with my face. But I'm going to show you quickly some of the things that you kind of have to look at me a little bit more if you don't know me. You don't know my typical facial expressions. But I think there's certain things that are kind of easier to pick up. But I'm going to lean into the camera and I'm going to show you what my face is and isn't doing and kind of some of the experiences that I'm still having. So one of the things with facial paralysis, Ramsey Hunt syndrome and Bell's palsy, Ramsey Hunt syndrome affects more nerves, so it takes longer to heal. And because of that, when you begin to heal, you may experience things like I'm experiencing right now. So I'm going to show you first with my lips sometimes do whatever they want to do. But this eye does not blink all the way. So I'm blinking normally. I can close both of them. When I look side to side, up and down, this eye rolls less and blinks more, but it doesn't blink all of the way. Right now, it's actually, I don't know if you can see it, It's actually jumping. My lower lid is jumping right now. Can you see that? I don't know if you can. But this is still not blinking. I'm going to show you when I smile. This side is not totally all the way up. Also, my chin goes at an angle. I don't know if you can see that, but my chin it kind of slopes this way because this side of my chin still doesn't function exactly the same. I can taste on this side now, as well as I can swallow on this side, but it's really, really sensitive still. So when I flare my nostrils, this is when things get interesting, because when I flare my nostril, which I couldn't do at all before, but now when I flare it, it actually moves my face. So this is something called synkinesis, which means that your nerves misfire and kind of do involuntary movements. So when I chew, this eye, I'm like pretending to chew. This eye actually kind of tries to close. When I flare my nostrils, which this side still doesn't move as much as this side, but it moves my eye and my mouth. Which is very interesting. I never thought I'd put all of this out on the internet, but here we are. Hopefully it helps you. My eyebrows do raise equally, but when I raise my eyebrow, my entire face on this side will lift. So that is the difference. And like I said, this eye does not blink all of the way. The other thing that I'm experiencing at this point, this side of my face gets fatigued, and towards the end of the night, or if I've had a really, really long day or a rough day, this side of my face kind of doesn't move much. It still moves significantly more than it did before, but my speech will kind of slur. I'll feel like I'm drooling out of this side of my mouth, and it's just different. The other things are, I wanted to share some of the things that I'm still currently using, because when I go to sleep at night, I do wear a mask, which I love. I have to share that with you. I wish I had this from the very beginning. I didn't get this until March, and I thought, oh my gosh, I wish I had this the entire time, so I have to share that. But I'm still using eye drops. These are the ones I literally brought a table to share with you. So I have gone through several bottles of this, specifically because it is preserved. It's preserved in the bottle, but it's preservative free. I'm not sure how they do that, but these are the ones that I walk around with. That I keep at home, and I actually have one in each bag. So I have this smaller one in my bag. I have this larger one in my bathroom, and I really, really like this. If you're listening to the audio, I'm talking about the brand TheraTears. Really, really like this. This is the one that I've been using. So I'll use a couple of drops of the TheraTears, and then I'll put the Refresh Optive Gel Drops. This is a lubricant eye gel, and this helps, basically, it helps your eye for the moisture to not evaporate as quickly. So I really, really like this. This lasts a really long time. I want to say this was about 16 bucks, worth every penny. Love this so much. I've gone through several bottles, and I'm still having to use eye drops because this eye, since it doesn't blink all the way, it still gets extremely dry. The benefit now is if it's really sunny outside, I can squint, when before I could not. The other things that I used that I went through quite a bit of, I bought a 2-pack of this is just medical tape, and I tape my eye with this. And a new development is I had to start taping this eye shut again, because it would literally wake me up in the morning of a weird pain I've never experienced before. I say that a lot with Ramsey Hunt. A weird pain that I hadn't experienced before, and that is a severe dry eye, where it's so dry that I can't even try to close that eye and blink it. So I realized that this eye is still just involuntarily just moving and opening at night and not staying completely closed. So I had to start taping this eye shut again. These are some of the Refresh Celluvisc eye gel, and these are like the individual little vials, and you just break it off. They're one-time use only. They have no preservatives, so you certainly don't want to try to use it again. So these, honestly, they give you a little bit too much gel in here because it's so viscous and thick. So I stopped getting this, and then that's when I switched over to the Refresh gel drops that come in the bottle, so I can kind of control how much I'm using and wasting. I went through the individuals a lot quicker than I've even gone through this tiny bottle. The other thing that I did, and I just put it back in the box, but using an eye patch was pretty helpful. And I would use that during the day just to kind of give my eye a rest when I couldn't blink at all. Now I can blink somewhat, so I'm not actually, so I can do that. I'm not actually needing this one. But eye patch, this is one that has like a concave design. I don't know if I showed you that, but it has a concave design here. And this one was this one was the least comfortable out of all the things that I used, but it was really helpful to have just to give my eye a break during the day. And when you work on the computer like I do, which that's why my videos were kind of all over the place for a while, because it was hard to sit there. It takes hours to edit a video, and I just couldn't sit there and just use that, you know, and it puts pressure on your head, which I had a lot of pain on my skull. So that was something that I'm thankful the pain went away, thank you God, that I didn't have to continue to use that. The other thing that I used was this eye mask that my husband got me, and this was really, really helpful because it's pretty soft. And it has two bands, but they weren't super tight, but it stayed in place. But I'll show you the thing that I ended up using that I absolutely freaking love, and I'm still using to this day. And even, Lord willing, this whole Ramsey Hunt thing just gets healed completely, and I can completely close my eyes. I'm still going to use it because it's just fantastic, especially if you're traveling. So this is the one. So this actually ends up touching your eye. So that was pretty, it worked until it just didn't. I'll show you what I wear at night, but first I'm going to show you what I wore during the day a lot, especially when I cook. If you're new to this channel, I share a lot of recipes, I share a lot of grocery hauls, I share a lot of just clean eating, all of the things, health and wellness, and I love to cook. So the one thing that's really tough is when you're cooking, you don't realize it, that you can't blink until steam hits your eye, and that's not good. So I actually used these. I ended up breaking them, but they were my husband's safety glasses, and they have, this is kind of broken because I've just worn them out so much. I wore these when I left the house. I wore these when I was cooking, and these were just really helpful because this actually touches your skin and keeps things from coming underneath to get into your eye. So love this. Love my husband. He's the best. The other thing, so this is it right here. Even if you don't have Ramsey Hunt, you don't have Bell's palsy, this is phenomenal. And if you know someone who does have Ramsey Hunt or Bell's palsy and they cannot blink their eye, or they have a really difficult time going to sleep, this is just, you can actually sleep on your stomach. So if you're a side sleeper or a stomach sleeper, this, oh my gosh. So this is what it looks like. This is very well worn, and I actually wash it, you know, every week, sometimes every couple of days, and I just use a hypoallergenic laundry detergent. But as you can see, this is concave like the other one. But when I say this is like having a pillow on your face, so it covers all the way over your nose. It kind of looks like a ski mask. It comes in different colors. I'll put the link to this, and then this band is super comfortable, and then there's no latches that are going to lay against your skin, which when I say I love this thing, I love this thing. So this is just phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. And I didn't get this until March, and I've been going through my eye being open since January of this year, and this was probably hands down the best purchase that I made, the best sleep that I was able to finally get. So really love this, highly recommend this. Even if you don't have this condition, it's just super helpful. When I actually began healing, when I say healing, I mean where this eye could finally do some closure. One of the things that I experienced was I actually got like a cold, It was like a really bad sinus thing, and it lasted for about 2 to 3 days. Didn't have a fever or anything like that, but I felt absolutely awful, and it felt like a sinus infection. And one of the things that happened and what started was on this side of my face, it just felt swollen. It felt stiff and swollen, which it still feels that way now, but in a different way. And there was pain actually like in my face, and it looked significantly different than this side. Now they look a little similar, but one of the things that happened was it felt like someone was taking their fingers and pressing against my face. And I was sick for a couple of days, took care of myself. My husband made me soup, all the things. And I took some just natural immune support and things like that, like mushroom and all of that. That's a whole nother video for a different time. And once I started feeling a little better, I noticed that I still had that feeling on this side of my face, but my lower lid was finally starting to have a little bit of movement. And if you've ever strained your eyes or got a twitch in your eye, you know that feeling that you feel on your lower lid? That's what I began to feel. And that literally came right before this lower lid being able to kind of move somewhat, when before it couldn't move at all. So it was interesting because it's like my body was fighting something while my body was trying to repair itself and do something. So this whole nerve thing is really, really wild, and it's something I've never experienced before. And this ear, now one of the things that I feel is this ear will get to a place where it pops a lot, like a lot. Like right now I can do this and it makes this weird sound. It's really like my ears just constantly popping on this right side. My lower lid constantly feels like it's straining, and like it's sometimes it'll just twitch. Like today it just started twitching, and I noticed that actually comes right before some additional movement starts happening. So I wanted to encourage you in that you may be experiencing something where you feel like you might be moving backward, or oh goodness, what else is what's going to happen next, what's going on with my face, when in actuality it might be your nerves firing and trying to I think nerves is like spark plugs, and it's just kind of trying to rev the engine again. It's trying to get things moving again, which feels uncomfortable. So it doesn't hurt, but it feels really uncomfortable, and you're like, oh my goodness, other people can see this. So you feel a little awkward. But my thing is, hey, if you're healing, you're healing. If it seems strange to someone else, Bell's palsy and Ramsey Hunt is just something in and of itself, right? So those are some of the things that I'm experienced. That's kind of where I am now. And those are all the things that I use physically. So some of the other things that I did was I did facial exercises, but I didn't do anything too strenuous. I usually did it sometimes 3 times a day. Sometimes I just did it in the morning and I did it at night. So whenever I washed my face at night and I went to put on my moisturizer, I would take that time. Usually it was about 5 minutes, sometimes less, to just do really simple exercises. And that was things like, you know, lift my eyebrows, and I would always do it assisted with my other hand. So I would, when it wasn't going up as high, when my left eyebrow and my right eyebrow weren't going up at the same level, I would just take my finger and kind of assist it and do that about 30 to 40 times. For blinking, I did the same thing. So when this eye would not blink, one of the things that I really, it was simple to do, and I feel like it sends a message to your brain that, hey, I blink, you know? So I would take this finger, and all I would do was put it right here, and I would allow, because it wants to blink, it just can't, right? So I put it on top of my eyelid, just pressing against it. And then when I would blink this one, I would allow this finger to just bring this down ever so slightly, and I would do that 10 to 20 times. As it got a little easier for me to do, I would do it about 30 times. Then I would do things like try to flare my nostril. When that didn't work, which for a while I couldn't do that at all, I would just hold that side of my nose and kind of pull it over and flare my nostrils. The other things that I did was I would take my fingers, and I would, when I would smile, I would just kind of lift this cheekbone. So just to give me that symmetry of a smile. And then I would do the same thing with my chin, kind of do that. And then right here on this side and on this side, I would just kind of use my fingers and I would try to move everything at once and just lightly, not even really pull, but kind of pushing that skin. And then I just like to take my fingers and drag them over my face. And then I would like to take my fingers and lightly tap. I would do that all over this side of my face. Sometimes when I was just sitting still, I would do that just tapping, just kind of like wake up nerves. This is not medical advice, go to a professional. But those are some of the things that I did as far as exercises, and those were things that I did every single day. I don't do them as much, but I actually started doing them again just because I'm getting this twitch in this lower lid. So if it's trying to do something, what I've been doing is taking my finger, same way, assisted, and I would just kind of lift it up. And I would do that. I've been just doing that about 10 times. But I didn't want to do a lot of forcing. I know there are people that use like TENS units and things like that. It was something that I didn't want to use or try because I just don't know enough about it. And I'm someone that likes to research things. And if I have a good grasp on it and I understand the mechanisms at how it works, then I'm usually more apt to try something. There are people that try acupuncture. I didn't have anyone in my area that did it specifically for this. So I didn't want to take the chance that I was going to be, you know, kind of someone's first when it came to using acupuncture for facial paralysis. So that was something that I just opted not to do. And I also did things like a castor oil pack on my face. I shared that in I think the first or the second video, because castor oil is a great anti-inflammatory. And anytime you have something impacting your nerves, it's an inflammatory condition, right? And inflammation is good, but chronic inflammation, not so good. So just like cortisol, it's great for cortisol, for you to have cortisol, because it's part of one of the things that wakes us up in the morning, but you don't want to have it constantly elevated. The body loves to be in a the body loves homeostasis. It loves to come back to a baseline and to have some normalcy. So the body loves to be in balance. So that was one of the things that I did for my face in particular, and some of the things that I've started to do again. Using the eye drops, you always want to make sure that that eye stays wet. So many of these things that we have to consciously do are things that our body unconsciously did before, but now we actually have to help the body to do it. The eye's not just going to wet itself, we have to help it to do so. Like right now as I'm talking, I feel like this side of my mouth is getting heavier, and I feel like I feel like I'm gonna drool out of that side of my mouth. That's so, but that's the case. That's kind of what we're dealing with right now. So just know that everybody's gonna be different. I used a little bit of tape sometimes just because this side of my face felt so heavy. Like it felt like that drooping, it just was so heavy. And I don't know if it's because I have plump cheeks to begin with or what, but it just felt really heavy. So I would take the same medical tape and I would take a piece and I would put it on my chin whilst I lifted up this side of my face, and I would apply it. And I would usually do that for maybe 30 minutes throughout the day. I didn't do it for a really, really long time because I didn't want my face to kind of get frozen since it was already frozen on that side. Those are some of the things that I did that they seemed to help. I never pushed beyond what felt more than, I never pushed anything to the point where I had any sort of pain whatsoever, just because I didn't want to cause any injury to that area as it's trying to heal. I wanted to support it. Ice did not work for me. Anything that was cold sent a shock wave of electricity through my body, so I did not do that. Heat seemed to work better, but I couldn't hold it on for very long. And other than that, it was just kind of leaving it alone and just making sure that I was just rest really well rested. The other thing was when I would brush my teeth, which is crazy, I'd brush my teeth, and if I brushed on this side too much, when I could finally kind of touch that side a little bit more because it was so sensitive, my cheek would just stay like that after I was done brushing. It was the craziest thing, and I would have to massage it back down. I told my husband it was like I had like the Elvis lip, and it would just stay that way. So I still can't drink out of a straw. Oh, I forgot to show this part. So when I pucker, this eye tries to close, and then it's not really centered. So I forgot about that on massage. So I would take my fingers and just pull my lips forward. It's the craziest thing. I feel kind of silly showing you this, but if someone's out there and they're like, I just need some sort of direction or some sort, obviously check with your doctor, your neurologist, whomever you are speaking with to, help you with this condition. But those are some of the things that I did, and those are some of the things that I believe helped me. But, we are still on this journey. I'm still on this journey. I'm on this journey with you. We are in this together. Hopefully you just don't feel alone, and you also feel hopeful. I also used several supplements that I feel were extremely helpful, and then some new ones that I've incorporated. If you want to see a video on that, or if you want, a link to what I'm using, I have a Practitioner account where you can order supplements through. This is not from Amazon. A lot of those supplements on there are actually sold by third parties, or they're not tested. Some of them are expired, and many of them don't contain what they claim to contain. So I don't really purchase or suggest anyone purchases supplements there unless they've been third-party tested and the actual company is selling on Amazon. So that's my little side rant on putting things in your body where you actually know what you're putting in your body. So a lot of other things that I did as far as my nutrition goes, I lowered sugar significantly. I watched that because I didn't want to eat anything that was going to cause necessary blood sugar spikes or cause any additional inflammation, and sugar can be extremely inflammatory in the body. I want to encourage you and share the experience because this is not something that most people know of around them. And the first time I ever heard of Bell's palsy was because I was experiencing it. And the first time I heard of Ramsey Hunt syndrome was when I experienced, the rash in my ear and saying, hey, I think that this might be something more than Bell's palsy, and all of those things. You can find all of those videos. I created a playlist for Bell's palsy and Ramsey Hunt syndrome. I'll link it below, or I'll put it in the cards above. You can find it in the show notes if you're listening to the audio podcast. And I just want to encourage you that healing takes time. Everyone's journey is going to look different, but you really want to support your body in the best way that you possibly can, and the best way that you know how. I get it. There are single parents. There are people that work really strenuous jobs, really stressful jobs. So don't push your body more than you need to. And sleep is so important for your body to repair itself. And just recently reading a study, and one of the things that stuck out to me was sleep deprivation is anything under 6 hours. And I know people that are like, oh, I get 6 hours and I'm fine. And it's like, are you though? Just because you can go doesn't mean that your body is actually rested. And when our body is able to rest, it's able to repair. So I wanted to encourage you to make sure that you're resting. Not just sleep-wise, which is extremely important, but actually make sure that you're resting and giving yourself time away from things, and allowing your eyes to rest, and allowing your body and just your mind to rest. We have plenty going on in this world. We don't need to hear about every horrible thing that's happening all the time, 24/7. Sometimes you need to log off or check out, or, not scroll. Those are just some of the things that I think are really impactful and really helpful, because you really want to support your body. And you might feel like, oh, am I ever going to heal? Your body is going to heal in its time. And one of the things that I've learned with Ramsey Hunt syndrome, which is different from Bell's palsy, is that they affect the same nerve. Ramsey Hunt syndrome can cause Bell's palsy, and that's just one nerve. Ramsey Hunt syndrome affects many more nerves. And because of that, you want to make sure that you're resting. I really am impressed, honestly, with the amount of information online about this condition. But at the same time, since it's rare, you don't really know what a time frame looks like. Different doctors say different things as far as how long it takes. Things that I've read state that it could take anywhere to a few weeks for some, a few months for others, and up to 2 years to completely heal and regain all of your function. And some of us are going to have things like synkinesis, where part of your face, I don't know if you can see this, but my eye's just jumping. But a weird part of me is like, that must mean that something else is going to start working. So I'm like, I kind of just, it's par for the course. You kind of just roll with it. And you think, okay, this is just going to take the time that it's going to take. Don't stress. That's so easy to say, right? It's so easy to say, but that's why that term exists, as trite as it may be. Most things are easier said than done, right? Duh. But it is easier said than done. It's going to take its time. Support your body, heal your body. If you can avoid things that are going to cause inflammation in your body, that's awesome. So I've already stated kind of what those things are in a different video. You can check that out. I'll link it. But just off the top of my head, you just want to avoid things that are going to cause blood sugar dysregulation and spikes. And you want to also avoid things that are honestly man-made. So a lot of the things that didn't exist before, that our great-great-grandparents didn't eat, we probably shouldn't be eating them, because they're causing inflammatory things to happen in our bodies, and things that we just don't even know or understand yet, because they haven't been around long enough to know how these things are going to show up in our systems and how our body's going to process these things. If you have any questions, leave them underneath this video. I might do a live one day, or create a post where you can just kind of scroll through, grab what you need. Obviously, my experience is going to be different than yours, as well as my time frame is healing and yours. But know that you can heal and that your body can heal. And as always, your life matters. What you do with it matters. So what will you steward well? Until next time.